Hello, my name is Joseph Pirayou. I want to welcome you to today's program on In the Beginning, Ashur. Uh, as always, this is a live program, and if you have any questions, any comments, you can send it, and if I can answer, I will. If not, we do a program called uh, Q&A. Um, you know, honestly, for today's program, I wanted to share. Just some history. You know, I know when we did the flyer, we put Ashur B.C. before clergy, and I try not to put my opinion in these programs. And when I put my opinion, I'll tell you that this is my opinion. But mostly the information out there, I don't know how much of it you accept, how much of it you believe, but this is information out there regarding our history, regarding our people. So, uh, one thing is that I want to start with that we have this very popular saying among our people that says, we must unite. I'm sure there are a lot of you out there that you love your ethnicity, who you are, our history, everything, and you just you're hurt. You say, why aren't we united? Why aren't we one? Why we are allowing this, either through Christianity or through different groups, that political groups or different things being from different regions affecting us. So we must unite. So I was thinking about that. When we say we must unite, there were two parts here that I was looking at. And the first part is that we. Who is we? What do you think when it comes to your mind when we say we? Who do you think comes to your mind as a people? Like when I said in the previous program, I'm going to go over that shortly, briefly, is that before I came to United States, I was 16 years old. I was in Iran. For me, we as our people was only the people that I knew in Iran. They were like from different Church of the East, Presbyterian, Protestant churches. We all spoke the Ashuri language. We used a lot of Persian words, Farsi words in it. And there were this other group that we called Sinaye, or from Salamas, northern part of Urmi, that they call them either Shapatnaya. I don't know if that's the correct term or not, but they were mostly Chaldean Christian church. So then we came to United States and different cities, LA, Turlock, San Jose, being involved in A and B. Now I'm involved with Assyria TV. My concept as who we has grown. I got more exposed. I got more information. So to me, we is our Ashuri people that are from the Assyrian Church of the East, from Chaldean Church, from the Syriac, from the Protestant. And when we come to say unite, that Ashur B.C. before clergy, that's when it hit me. But I wanted to see who we originally, not what I think, not what you might think, but historically, who are we as Ashuri people? And today's program is a little bit related to that part. And the only place I could start from was that we start from our Ashur Empire. So I'm looking for maps, and I don't know which one is genuine, which one is official, which one is the real one. So whatever I'm showing, don't take it for exact fact, because the borders, they kept changing during the different kings, time of the different kings. And from what I have here, the general area that our people existed back in the time of the Ashur Empire, these are the parts that I'm sharing with you. Maybe not exact border. You might say, well, at this time the border was this and that. That's not the point. Is that the generality of who we as Ashuri were. That's what I want to share with you. So the orange part that you're looking at, this goes all the way to Egypt. That was the, I guess, the highest peak or whatever you want to call that. But my focus is on the part that we have. In this photo, it says Syria, Assyria, Ashur, Nineveh, the parts Babylon, the Middle East of today, including Syria, Iraq, Iran, parts of Turkey. So these are the areas because majority of us until maybe 100, less than 100 years ago, because of what happened in Iraq and Iran and Syria, our people left. Another part that is it's Lebanon, but not for today's program. But this is what I'm trying to figure out: who we were originally, and as the uh, after the fall of Ashur, what happened? Different kingdoms came over, ruling over our people, but just the focusing on the areas until we became Christian. So after the fall of Ashur, of course, Babylonia came. So Babylonian Empire, when we look at the one of the maps that they have, we see same general area. Different people putting different kind of a borders, names. So this is the Neo-Babylonian Empire. There was, I guess, another Babylonian Empire before the Ashur Empire, but that's not the focus right now. In that photo, again, we see where it says Assyria. I want you to pay attention to the part that says the Tigris and Euphrates, where it says Aram, where it says Syria, Damascus, these areas. The part that the Greeks call Mesopotamia, the land between the two rivers. These are the general areas. So our people existed under the general area went under the rule of Babylonians. So after the fall of Babylonia, who took over? It was the Persian Empire, specifically Achaemenids, they call it. These Greeks, they screw up all these names big time. It's Hachamaneshi, but it's the first, that's the kingdom of Cyrus the Great, Darius the Great. They uh, were the what they call it, the first empire that they united the Persians and the Medes, Persians with the southern Iran, Medes in the northern Iran. Regardless, Persian Empire took over Babylon, and they were the ones ruling over our people. And you see the general area, and I think it says Assyria there somewhere. That's interesting. They put the map of the Persian Empire, but Assyria is still there. That's interesting. I don't know who did it. As I said, these are certain periods of time that they try to figure out what was the borders, this and that. Some maybe exaggerations, some maybe they don't know. Everybody depends. But regardless, we know after the fall of Ashur, we have Babylon, we have the Achaemenids, Persia, Medo Persia. Then after them, the Greeks. What's his name? Alexander the Great takes over, and we have the Greeks ruling, and that's the general that I think the 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 biggest what they call it, Greek Empire became. And we see again, if you can bring it that area, our people in the Middle East, if you can make it a little bit bigger, but yeah, yeah, make it wider, yeah. So that area, as you can see, same thing, different people ruling. We have still somebody put the name of Assyria over there. We have Syria, we have Armenia. So these areas now are under the Greek Empire. After Alexander the Great died, his kingdom was divided into four parts, and I'm not going to go through that, but there was the Seleucids and that they took over that general area of Middle East. And after that, when the Roman Empire came, this is when Jesus Christ is born in Bethlehem. That the area that is under the control, the area that Jesus was born was under the control of the Roman Empire, but at the same time, the Parthians, these are, I think, after Seleucids or Seleucian, uh, let's put that map so it makes a little bit more sense. So the Persian and the Parthian, yeah. So this is just a general. As I said, these borders are not exact. They were maybe exact at certain time, but generally, from what I find in the history, we have the Euphrates River. As you can see in this map, Euphrates River is the kind of border between the Roman Empire and the Parthian Empire. And this is when Jesus is born, when he's crucified, still the Parthians are ruling in that area, still Romans are ruling. Romans, they stay in that area for a long time, at least three, four, 500 years. Then after that, something happened with the Rome, and that's another story. And Parthians, they stay there for a long time until another empire comes, Sassanid. Then after that, the Muslims, Islam comes and takes over the whole region. But the point that I'm focusing on right now is who is we and the uniting part. So when we say we need to unite, that means that we have been divided, right? And when we are divided, my question would be I wrote it down so I won't forget. So that means we are separated, right? So how did we separate? When did we separate? Why did we separate? You know what I'm saying? If we are separate, if we were one at certain point in time in our history, you know, how this happened? When did it happen? Why did it happen? When it happened, was it one time or was it different periods? A big body was cut 10%, then that 90% that was left was cut another 30%, then that 50% was cut another no, half of that. So the ones remaining on each side, each one of them, the identity who we call we, which one of these at what time were doing what, that now 2025 there is effort, there is pleading. I don't know who are pleading with, because we don't have a real leadership, because majority, I'm talking about history. This is not my opinion. If you think it's an opinion, maybe let me know. Maybe I'm making a mistake. I'm not perfect. I just talk about things that I know. And sometimes if I know it the wrong way, I have people out there that have told me before. So no problem. We learn together. I learned from you. I'm just sharing some information that I have. This separation that was made gets us to the point in history that Christianity enters our communities. As I showed, oh, this other one. Can you make it a little bit bigger? No, no, the other one, the one you were showing. I want to focus on a couple of parts here. We have the certain cities where is Damascus, uh, it says Syria, Jerusalem, Syria, Damascus. Then you look up, we have Antioch, we have Edessa. Then you look at this is what is in the Roman Empire. When you look in the Parthian Empire, the part that I want you to focus on, if you can see it where it says Babylonia, above it says Seleucia and Sitisphun. And if I'm not mistaken, Sitisphun was the capital of the Parthian Empire, or Seleucia, one of these. I'm not exactly sure, but those are the areas, because we have these, as I said, there are information out there. We have Dr. Wigram. He wrote this book about an introduction to the history of the Assyrian Church, or the Church of the Sassanid Persian Empire. So that goes from the time that it starts, it ends at the Sassanid. So uh, it starts with the Parthian Empire and ends in the Sassanid Empire. When, as I mentioned, the Islam comes and takes over of the whole region. So during that, the part that Dr. Bigram is writing is about the Persian Empire, right? Now, when we look at the map, The Persian Empire, the border between them and Roman is generally the Euphrates, and it goes back and forth depending who's ruling at what time, but not all of that during the time of Christianity. Not all of Middle East, as you saw with Assyria, as you saw Ashur, as you saw with Babylon, as you saw with Persian Empire, as you saw with the Greek. The whole region was under one empire at one time or another. Ashur, Babylon, Persian, Greeks. Then, when the Seleucids take over, that part falls in the hand of Seleucids, one of the generals that Alexander the Great, when he died, the whole empire was divided by four generals. Two of them that are important to us, General Seleucid and Ptolemy. The area that is generally Middle East fell under General Seleucid or Seleucia or Seleuco. They have so many different versions in the Greek, but as you see, that city that is called Seleucia is named after that general, and after him, they came and ruled his bloodline, whatever it was. Then Ptolemy ruled in the area that is Egypt. But after the death of Alexander the Great, the area that our people that lived there started falling into different rulers. When it came time for Christianity that started spreading, our people were in two different empires. One group of our people was in the Roman Empire. The other group was under the Parthian. And I mentioned Parthian is that during their time, there is that King Shapur II for 40 years. He persecuted our people because of the missionary and all the things that they were doing. But somehow, during the time that Babylonians, Persians, Greeks, Seleucid, Parthian, Roman, somehow it seems we had kept our name, our ethnicity, our identity. How? I don't know. I don't have too much information on that because what came out is after we became Christian, our alphabet entered the Holy Word, the Bible. And when you look at the church history, specifically Bible history, as what we have, I have one copy here. This is Dr. George Lamsa. George Lamsa is a translation from what? From what our ancestors translated the Old Testament and New Testament. Some people say New Testament was written in Greek. Says who? None of those, Matthew, Mark, John, Luke, maybe he had, he was a doctor, but everybody else, Paul had knowledge of the language, but everybody else, their language was, when you read these books that they're talking about Bible history, they call it Syriac. And that's a very interesting name, Syriac. As we know now, it's since the Greeks, they cannot say shit, they said say, and the Ashur fell, became Assur and Syria and all these things. But the history of our people started, whatever it was, at different parts during all these different empires that took over them. Once we became Christian, somehow we flourished. Now, going back on being Christian, how did we become Christian? As I said, we, right? Which we part? Because we are under different empires, different areas. It's amazing how we were able to keep our identity, our name. Because if we hadn't kept it, once we became Christian, right, we would have been Christian under different identity. But once we became Christian, our language is there, our alphabet is there, our name is there. These great heroes or known people in the church history, Tatian the Great. Where's that book? I had it here. First time I read about him. The New Testament documents, are they reliable? I'm just reading to find out, if I'm believing this Bible, is there some proofs that there's some things that, is out there. So when people laugh at me, make fun of me, you idiot, where you believing in this nonsense, right? I'm just reading about that. And next thing I hear, like, Tatian the Assyrian, like, what? This is 100 years after the birth of Jesus Christ. They knew he was Assyrian. How? Because they kept their identity. If they hadn't, they would have called him, I don't know, Antiochian, Edessian, whatever name it was, Babylonian, Aramean, Chaldean, you know, but they called him Assyrian. Hatian the Assyrian. Why? Because he kept his family after the fall of Ashur. This is 600 plus years after the fall of Nineveh, after the fall of the Ashur Empire. There is this guy has becomes Christian and translates the Bible, and the people around him they call him what? Tatian the Assyrian. So our ancestors, between the fall of the empire and becoming Christianity, we kept our identity somehow. Our language, our name, they call it Syriac. They called Tatian Assyrian. There is another great church figure, Saint Ephraim the Great. And where these guys are from? Saint Ephraim is like 300 years after Christ, right? And where are these guys from? From Edessa, from Nasibin, right? And this Abgar, that map, yeah. So we have in our history that the first area, the first time, or whatever the story is, the first, the Ashuri became Christian when King Abgar the Black, the ruler of Osrini dynasty or Edessa, Orhai, there are different names. That there was this small kingdom between the Roman and Parthian Empire, and supposedly above them were the Armenians. So somehow this guy, and the claim is that he's Ashuri, he's the one that he was sick. Something happened. They told him about this Jesus that is healing sick people. He sends people over there, and he tells them that I've heard, they're doing all these bad things for you. You can come to my kingdom. I'll take care of you. All these things. Jesus sends people back that they heal him. And next, Jesus is crucified. And I guess there is that handkerchief that there is a Christ. This is the legend that it was given to, what's his name, King Abgar. I don't know how many of my fellow Ashuri people know about King Abgar, but from what my research I'm doing, Armenians say this is our king. Abgar is a big name in Armenian people, and they take claim that we were the first. Doesn't matter. I really don't care who's on first, who's on second. The old the comedy act a long time ago. But we, who were we when we became Christian? Abgar is the first one that everybody talks about, and in that region, I want you to concentrate these area. This area that we're talking about is under the Roman Empire. Dr. Vigram is talking about the Persian Empire. When we saw our people are separated or living separately, they're not separate, because if they're separate, this whole thing about the name, about the language, about the identity, back then we had kept it 600 plus years. We kept it, right? Now, the okay, let me go this way. In Acts, book of Acts 15, there is what they call the Jerusalem Council. There's a gathering over there. They have an issue. The issue is that how they teach Christianity now that the Christianity is, moving and people are becoming Christian. non-Jews are becoming Christian. So how are these Jewish leaders like James, the brother of Christ, Peter, John, all these disciples originally were with Jesus? They're saying they have this gathering that how are we going to handle with these newcomers that are not Jewish? So they have the first great council, and it's a long story, but at the end they decide James, the brother of Christ, Peter, John, all of these, they will concentrate on preaching to the Jews, and they will teach the Jews to keep the laws of the Jews and add Jesus to it. And on the other hand, they tell Paul, one person, well, Barnabas goes with him, but they say, Paul, you go and preach to the Gentiles, everybody else, right? So after the meeting ends, it says that they went to Antioch, and Paul and Barnabas stayed in Antioch, teaching and preaching with many others also. And this Antioch that we are talking about, there is, like, we don't know exactly. We're talking about 2,000 years ago. There is a city now called Antioch that is in Turkey of today. Remember, back in the Ashur Empire, Babylon, Persian, Greek, Roman, everything was under one empire. Now that they cut these countries, this and that, Antioch is like border with Syria. But at that time, that's where it was. Why am I bringing this up? You see, before clergy, for 300 years, we Ashuri as Christians were one. In what way? We didn't have any patriarch, any leadership for 300 years. We had bishops, and they were following the teaching of Paul. I was looking for a Bible here. They were following the teaching of Paul, bishop in general area. They didn't have a building to call church to gather over there. The Romans were persecuting the Christians, and after Roman Empire became Christian, then the not right after, but more seriously, the Parthians started persecution. Who are these Christians? When we look at this part, at the Antioch, at Syria, I was saying the belief among most of our people that are belonging to the Chaldean, to the Assyrian Church of the East, to the Syriac Church, all these different denominations that are all apostolic, their belief, maybe not the Syriac part, but the other ones, they trace themselves back to Peter. Because Peter is the one that Jesus changed his name from Simon to Peter and told him that there was a church that's going to be built on you. And he was given the keys of heaven. Whatever he closed in heaven will be closed on in heaven. Anything closed on earth or open, Peter had the keys. So these different denominations coming out, everybody claims they have the keys, and these are majority of these churches that are ruling over our people. When you look at the church history, if Paul is the apostle to the Gentiles, if Peter and all these things are going to teach the, what they call it, the Jews, our people became Christian first where? In Edessa, in Syria. This apostolic, what was this? I can say in the nice way. This apostolic nonsense that we have in our, I mean, I'll back it up by history, not my opinion. There is a history. I mean, we're going to go through, I mean, we're going to dig, surgical digging. The Orthodox Church. This guy was an English guy, became Orthodox. And when I was reading, I was so pissed, just like ignoring our people and their history. But it's okay. I'm here. We're going to talk about our history. Don't worry about that. The thing is that misinformation we have. Paul is the one who has established Christianity in our people. And where does this name Syria come from? Who is Syria? Where is Syria? Not the Syria of today. How did it get its name? Have you thought about that? Because when they say, we say to people, I'm a Syrian, they say, oh, Syrian. Say, no, no, we're not Syrian, we're Assyrian. Actually, we are both. Because Syria, again to the Greeks, they changed our name from Ashur to Suri, this and that. Well, when we say in Farsi, we say Suriye, Suraye, Suraye. We have actually a nation now existing that is actually Ashur. It's not under our people, but these come later. Ashur B.C., Ashur before clergy, Ashur B.C., one nation, one name, one people, one faith, not religion, faith. We're going to go through that, but we're going to have fun. Until then, time is up. Chaya Ashur. Oh, sorry. We need to unite. No, we need to reunite. We were united before and we reunite and Allah Ahiya Ashur Chaya Chaya Ashur, Mabghila, Sheikhane, we reunite. Thank you. Have a great day. Bye bye.
شيخاني.